What's happening, everybody? Thank you for tuning on in. I feel like a bad piece of soft serve ice cream on a cheap ass cone, man. I mean, it is so damn hot out of that Miami Gardens camp. I feel like it's literally like being in a sauna, just soupy to all hell. Actually, it wasn't too bad in the individual drills. It was a nice little breeze, and then it gets on you. There's actually at one point, it was funny because Mike McDaniel was doing his coaching thing. I love watching him. You know, he hops up and down all over the place. He's just a ball of energy. I love McCoaching. I'm a big fan thus far. And you couldn't hear everything that he was saying because I don't know but it was something to the effect of like he was doing a cool thing because you think of like an offensive guru. You know, guys always be offensive. You remember when Adam Gase was on the team, fake guru. I call that along. When everybody else was giving this guy his flowers and saying, "Oh, Jay Cutler would work," I already knew the guy was a fraud. But that's neither here nor there. I've gotten other stuff wrong too. But McCoachin, one of the things I like about Mike McDaniel is he's involved with everybody, and then I would say a lot of the times he's like off. He calls his plays walkie-talkie style, but then he's off on the defensive sidelines, kind of chopping it up. And he actually at one point gave like a challenge to the defense. You couldn't hear everything they were saying, but it said something that it's hot. I know everybody's fatigued. We've been out here for all these reps, so we're going to go extra because they definitely went longer. I know they talked about the short practice, but they went longer in day 2 than they did in day 1. And it was basically just challenging. Hey, I know you're tired. I know everybody is it's hot out here, but it's like, hey, we need to get this stop here. And so it was something to that effect. I couldn't catch all of it because, he was far away, but they were on the near field today, which was cool because you definitely got we got a better look at things today than in day 1. But that was cool from McCoachin. He is not a guy who is turtled up in his offense, even though he is there calling the plays and he obviously is wanting that stuff to execute because it is his offense. He's just bouncing around with everybody. I think that's a cool thing from Mike McDaniel that's been seen so far. But today was a fun day. Tyreek Hill, he spoke to the media for the first time in camp, and obviously has been the most nationally notable Dolphin, not only because of signing here, but because everybody gets really mad because he supports his teammate Tua Tagovailoa. But speaking of Mike McDaniel, actually said that this was a really, really tough offense to learn, and that he is like looking at this as like one of the more complicated things he's seen in his NFL career. He really prides himself on knowing playbooks, but there's a lot of stuff that is being utilized here that he is learning. And so here's a little bit of what the Cheetah had to say about what he's learning from McDaniel's offense.
I tell you what, man, trying to learn that stuff, man, is probably the hardest thing I've ever been a part of in offense, and I'm a smart guy when it comes to like understanding football plays and concepts. But like when I first got here, I'm like, Coach West, like I do not understand any of this, but once I learned the offense, everything began to click, the concepts and stuff like that, and it's a lot of misdirections, a lot of play action passes, and for a speed guy like me, man, being able to run across the field freely and catch the ball and just get upfield, it's a match made in heaven, baby.
Thing is going to be explosive, but the money quote today from him had to do with the pairing of him and Jaylen Waddle. And I wanted to, do another video about Jaylen because Jaylen Waddle has been absolutely fantastic. And he is, I would say, stood out over these first couple days, almost more so than anybody in camp. He has been amazing. Wore the orange jersey today for practice player of the day, but was asked about the idea of like, what do you think teams are going to think when they see him and Jaylen Waddle? Because listen, was at all of last year's Dolphins camp and Jaylen was there, but it was such a tough camp in the idea of, ton of injuries with Will Fuller being out all the time and them being cautious. Jaylen was just getting into the league and all this type of stuff. Like there is, I don't know, man. He's got like himself he's just got like a different even level of swagger to him this year and confidence and know-how, and the burst looks there. It looks like they're utilizing him all over the place. But Tyreek was asked about what he thinks defenses are going to think when they have to face both of them. And this is the Cheetah.
Oh, they're scared shitless. I'm going to tell you what, J-Dub, like he's faster than I thought. Like when I first got here, I was like, okay, he's a 4-3. Because typically, like when you see 4-3 guys, they don't run as fast on the football field, but J-Dub, like, he actually runs a 4.3 on the football field. There's a difference, right? So, like I said, man, I'm very excited for the season. I can't wait to see him blossom and continue to move his game forward, which I know he will, because he comes out here every single day and he works hard and he wants to get better. So,
I mean, how can you not love that? He thinks that teams are going to be absolutely scared to take him on and Jaylen Waddle on. And real fast, my boy Robbie the Degenerate, who always say he's a fake fast 4.3, right there in your craw that he says to him. There's a lot of guys that are 4.3, but they're not 4.3 on the football field. He's saying that from Jaylen Waddle. That ain't the case. So it's going to be really, really fun to see everything that this offense brings to the table. And, having a star like Tyreek, to have a guy who has the national swagger that a Dolphins team hasn't really had. You think about this as a team that's best players historically since Marino and probably since Ricky Williams have been on defense. Jason Taylor, Zach Thomas, Cam Wake, and now Xavier Howard, possibly Javon Holland. But lacking that national excitement. It's an offensive game. The game is geared towards scoring. The game is geared towards fantasy football. And to have somebody like Tyreek, who's already established in the league, everybody knows his greatness as it is right now, to have him, and then for him to basically almost have Jaylen Waddle like his, I don't want to say sidekick, but they referred to it as big brother, little brother today when they were talking to the media, but almost like his protege, like his cheetah protege as far as the next really fast, shifty, small wide receiver in the NFL. And the excitement that you feel watching this team during practice is fun because you're like, all right, where's Waddle? Where's Tyreek? When are they going to get by? And you see Tyreek, there was one point today where, Tua went downfield to Tyreek Hill, underthrew the ball. Wasn't a pretty throw from Tua. Tyreek, because he blew past him. And I'm sure that if that was put out on Twitter or fans got it, it would be like, oh my God, Tua underthrew the ball. But just seeing the burst that Tyreek Hill has is insane. And then Jaylen Waddle, the same thing. He is just all over the place. So they to see what they are going to be is going to be really fun. I think at one point today they were asked about what kind of cars would you guys be if you guys were cars, and he said that they would be a Ferrari and a Lamborghini. And that's what it feels like. It feels like you're going out there almost like for a joyride on this Dolphins offense. And I'm just you get so sick of the dink and the dunk and the best players on this team not being on the offensive side of the football. Not that a great defense isn't great, but it's a couple things. One, they're hard to sustain because it's hard to keep everybody paid and keep everybody happy. So thankfully for this Dolphins defense, you got Agba, who's paid big money, and you got Xavier Howard, who's paid big money, but a lot of their best players are still young, too. And I think you're looking around, you're like, man, that you really want some explosiveness. You want some fun watches. You don't want to take that third quarter snooze. And it does feel like with this team, that won't be the case, that this is going to be a team that is going to be really, really, really fun to watch. It's tough to gauge on running backs, but even Chase Edmonds has looked really good so far in camp. Mostert had the day off, veterans day off for dealing with injuries because they're on the men back. But so Edmonds got a lot of looks today, and he looks good. The other thing that was out there is boots on the ground. I did ask. I got in on the press scrum with Tyreek Hill. I just wanted to get his thoughts on the idea of what he thinks of something as mundane as supporting your teammate like Tua, supporting your teammate Tua Tagovailoa, being so polarizing nationally. I've maintained throughout this whole thing, the one thing I found weird about all of it is, why are people looking at this and thinking it's such a bad thing or that's a distraction? For example, Devontae Adams had the whole Hall of Famer to Hall of Famer comment about Derek Carr. It didn't get nearly the national outrage that Tyreek's comments about Tua did. And I love the fact that he goes out there, he doubles down, triples it, goes on first take, he doubles down. He goes on a week of a podcast, he doubles down. Another week of the podcast, he triples down. Goes on first take, he quadruples down. And then essentially today, quintuples down.
The national reaction to you basically just being positive about your teammate and, having such a polarizing opinion of the national.
I just feel like people, man, they just take shit and they just run with it, dog. You know how people are, dog. They really don't read the headlines, obviously, like I said what I said. Tua was more accurate, but 1-5, he always gonna be 1-5. Speaking in Mahomes, like he's great. Like he's arguably like one of the greatest quarterbacks I feel like, I play with or in this league right now. So, I mean, national attention, I take it. So that's good range for me and my podcast. We'll take it all day.
He is right. Like people just will take a narrative and they'll just run with it. They'll go in any direction that they want to. And look, let me remember, I'm guilty of this too when it comes to certain things. I get it. But this one is just strange to me. One, because Tua's not a polarizing guy. Like, he's not like a Baker Mayfield, right? Baker Mayfield, kind of a pain in the ass, sourpuss at times, but also funny in commercials and had some decent years with the Browns with an assortment of weapons. And so, people liked him or hated him, but you kind of got it, right? Like, why the guy was disliked or liked, why there was those two sides of the coin. With Tua, I don't get it. Like, the guy is like the nicest, sweetest guy, never says anything controversial, has had his organization pretty much dump on him since he's been here. And now he has a level of positivity, a level of support behind him. And people are saying things like Mike Tannenbaum, who's a joke of a general manager, and I can't believe we keep sticking him on television, says things like, oh, well, this will cause a distraction. This is not a good thing, which Tua shot that down because he's like, no, I appreciate the support from my teammate. And from Tyreek Hill is like, well, why? Who is it a distraction for, right? Like, who is that going to be a thing where, I mean, listen, if things go bad, they're going to go bad because of the losing. They're not going to go bad because of something Tyreek Hill said in the summer on his podcast. It's a very, very strange thing that people have gone this direction with Tyreek Hill and have thought that this is going to be something that's bothersome for Tua Tagovailoa, that he's getting the support. No. So it was cool to hear all that from Tyreek Hill. He's going to be a fun guy to cover. Like, football, it's tough in football sometimes. Like, guys don't want to say anything. Basketball, is my favorite sport to cover. Guys have personality. Guys will say things. Guys will joke with each other in the media. Football, it's usually very robotic, cliche-filled, and guys don't want to say anything. Guys don't want to be bulletin board material. Tyreek Hill does not seem to give one squat about that, and that feels like it's going to be something that is going to be very, very fun to cover as the season goes on. Or if things were to go poorly, could be very just interesting because it could be pipe bomb stuff in the post game as far as hosing people down. I don't know. Right now, it's just a lot of fun stuff, a lot of joking, and interesting quotes from the Miami Dolphins prize acquisition in the offseason.